Now, the fear of missing out on cryptocurrency is finding a new footing in a phenomenon that has left many scratching their heads in complete disbelief. Crypto investors are spending millions on digital art that only exists in the ether. From humble beginnings as a fringe hobby and the use of non-fungible tokens, most commonly known as NFTs, has become mainstream. We ask this big question: what exactly is an NFT? Madulina and I will be speaking now as we're joined by editor-at-large at My Broadband, Jan Vermeulen. Jan, a very good morning to you. Such a complex scenario here. It almost seems unbelievable on one end because of its complexity. What exactly is an NFT?
Good morning. Yes, an NFT, I think the easiest way for me to explain it is to give you a physical example of what this might be. So non-fungible means something that you can't just exchange one for one. So an example of a physical asset that does this is a diamond, a natural diamond, I should be more specific. If I have a diamond and you have a diamond, we can't just exchange them because their values are dependent on a bunch of factors, how many facets they are, how many carats they are, and so forth. But if you have a 5 Rand coin and I have a 5 Rand coin, they're different coins, but we can exchange them and retain the exact same value. That's a fungible asset. So non-fungible is something like a diamond, whereas fungible is something like a 5 Rand coin.
Now, Jan Vermeulen here, why on earth would you buy a non-fungible item at a steep price like I heard of, a video that was sold for about $6 million. A video that is copyable, you can share it, anyone can essentially watch it. Why would I want to own that for 6 million Rand or $6 million instead of just downloading it?
Yeah, right. So this is where things get hairy. The NFT itself is not the artwork. It is more like a certificate of authenticity or a signature on that artwork. So, for example, we saw a tweet for Jack, the very first tweet that Jack Dorsey tweeted out on Twitter, is selling for $2.5 million. But it's not the tweet itself that's sold. It's really more like Jack Dorsey's signature that's sold. So the way to think about it is if you go to a soccer match or a rugby match or a cricket match and you take a ball, which is an ordinary thing, a fungible token, if you will. Anybody can go to a shop and buy a ball. We can trade 2 of the exact same ball and retain the same value. But if you take that ball to a match and you have a player sign that ball, now all of a sudden you have a non-fungible token, a piece of memorabilia that has a higher value than just an ordinary ball. And that's what happens here with an NFT, is you, by buying an NFT that Jack Dorsey himself has minted, that's linked to his very first tweet, you've effectively bought his signature on that tweet. But it's a digital signature that exists only on the Ethereum network. And whether it's worth $2.5 million remains to be seen. There's rampant speculation happening in this space right now, but that's a better way to think about it, rather than thinking about the actual artwork itself.
I suppose there's a very thin line here with fantasy versus reality in trying to get a thorough understanding on what essentially NFTs are. But are NFTs enough to break the internet?
No. They might break the Ethereum network, but the amount of congestion on the Ethereum network has caused transaction fees to spike, and so NFTs and decentralized finance and yield farming and all these new phenomena that have started to take root on the Ethereum network have become a playground for the rich. And so you've got ordinary folks like me who are interested in this space looking elsewhere, trying to find alternatives to the Ethereum network just because of how expensive transactions have become. But no, not the whole internet, just maybe the Ethereum network.
Can anyone make an NFT?
Yeah, absolutely. I would, if we had the time, I'd love to take you through exactly how easy it is. But I could send out a tweet right now. Go to the relevant website, turn it into an NFT and put it up for sale. Similarly, if you create a piece of art, digital art, whether it's music or a video or a digital image, you can turn that into an NFT and sell it. And this is what regular artists have started doing and have seen tremendous gains as a result of that. One artist who's been particularly successful at this is a guy who goes by Beeple. His real name is Mike, and he's had some of his artworks auctioned through Christie's, and one piece has sold for over $69 million worth of ether, and that was after he's seen some earlier success in the NFT space. He had sold a piece of artwork which is to demonstrate what can make NFTs quite interesting. He sold a piece of art called Crossroad days before the U.S. election for $66,000. Now, what's interesting about this EFT is it's almost like programmable art. It was linked to an animation, 3 different animations, a pre-election animation, and then after the election, the animation would settle on one of 2 animations, depending on whether Joe Biden won or whether Donald Trump won. And the actual underlying piece of art changes depending on the outcome of the real-world event. And so you have artists experimenting with medium as much as just taking regular images and putting them on the blockchain. That are doing some really interesting things, and we'll see whether these pieces of art are worth the paying price. But that $66,000 piece of art that people got out of the transaction was then later resold for over $6 million. And so there's already been resellings of these digital artwork for large sums.
Okay, Jan, I hope we'll be able to hear you more clearly as we ask you these questions, because you're breaking a little bit. But, you speak about large sums of money and, raising a lot of excitement as you speak about this money, and you say it's a platform that can easily be made. If you had the time, you'd show us how to create an NFT. How does this then translate to money in the bank? Does it now translate to that?
Yes, absolutely. So when you create an NFT, whether it's on the Ethereum network or any of the alternatives, then that NFT goes up for sale. You sell it for whatever price you want on that network, and on the Ethereum network you get a token called Ether. So I loved when you said at the start of the segment, exists in the ether, because that this is in fact what Ethereum calls its native token. So on the Bitcoin blockchain, you use Bitcoin to exchange value, right? That's the native token of the Bitcoin blockchain. On the Ethereum blockchain, the native token is called Ether, and that translates to real money. The price of Ether skyrocketed earlier this year, and it's trading for between $1,500 and $1,800 at the moment. And so in exchange for your NFT, you will receive Ether, and then you can take that Ether to even one of South Africa's blockchain wallets, Luno, Valar, Altcoin Trader, whoever, and exchange that for real rand and live off of that money.
Now, what determines the value of an NFT?
Rampant, degenerate gambling and speculation at this point.
Well, so how do I essentially buy an NFT? If I've created one, you've told us how to do that, but what if I'm interested in buying one? Where do I start?
Sure. There's a couple of different platforms you can look at. So for tweets, you can go to a platform called Valuables. OpenSea is a platform. These are all Ethereum NFTs. OpenSea is a popular platform, Rarible. So there's actually a couple of rival places that you can go to look for NFTs at the moment. There's a lot of marketplaces for sale and resale of these tokens.
Now, if you own this NFT, Jan, are you able to sort of act as the copyright holder and remove that specific NFT, whether it's beyond the internet or wherever else it might be hosted?
Yeah, this is some of the interesting questions that are being raised with regards to NFTs. So some platforms actually allow you to transfer the copyright of a work with the purchase of the NFT. So you don't have to. An artist can actually retain the copyright and intellectual property on an asset or on the actual, digital or the representation of the artwork, the animation or the image itself. And in the case of Jack Dorsey's tweet, Jack Dorsey retains full control and intellectual copyright rights over his tweet. So he could actually mint another NFT of that tweet later down the line if he wants to, but it will never be the first NFT, if that makes sense. It'll never be the very first signature that is put on that tweet. So it's sort of like a baseball card or a rugby player card or soccer player card. The very first one, or first edition of a book, the very first one with the very first signature in it is always going to be more valuable than subsequent ones. But it doesn't stop you from signing multiple. But yes, there are ways to transfer copyright and intellectual property as well. And there's some very deep questions that NFTs are asking about how we are going to handle intellectual property rights into the future with something like an NFT where, what exactly are you signing over? And a lot of people might not actually be understanding what they are buying when they buy the NFT, that they're not necessarily buying the only living copy of an artwork when they're doing that. They're really just buying a certificate of authenticity or a signature unless the artist specifies otherwise.
Yeah, and very quickly, before we let you go, what sort of word of caution would you send out? I mean, all of this sounds really exciting, but I'm sure there must be some, things to look out for.
Sure, and I would say that this realm is really rampant speculation. And yes, the artwork up on screen at the moment is Crossroad, the work from Beeple. It's one thing buying cryptocurrency because it's very unlikely for established projects like Bitcoin or Ethereum the value to go to zero. But an NFT can very easily be worth nothing in the future. And so, if you're going to speculate in this space, then you need to make very sure that the money that you're speculating is money that you're willing to totally lose in the process. Also, I would encourage folks who are interested in the space to not just look at speculating on buying NFTs, but in creating some. That's where I think the most learning is taking place right now, is play with making some, because this is where the exciting bleeding edge of this development is happening, is how NFTs are made and what they represent and what you can do with them, with the programmability that I was talking about a bit earlier. Some NFTs come with secret messages embedded in them, almost like Da Vinci Code level stuff. And so, yeah, there's some really interesting things happening in space, but, just be careful with your money here.
Thank you so much for sharing those insights and thoughts. Editor-at-Large at My Broadband Jan Vermeulen. This really sounds fascinating. I mean, it's almost like entering a different world.
Absolutely, it is. And we've already entered the cryptocurrency world a little bit. Now it's NFTs. I really look forward to seeing what will come out in the next 40 years or so, with the way the world is moving, digitalizing everything, even ownership.
Sure, some fascinating stuff.